Hey there, Quickcasters, and welcome to a Halloween special that's going to,
Ooh, spook.
yeah, right? This one is going to leave you sleeping with the lights on. Forget ghosts and goblins. We're
Yeah.
diving into a real-life case that's creepier than any fictional horror story.
Ooh.
You know those Yandere characters from anime?
Mm.
The ones who are sweet as candy,
Yeah.
but hide a seriously dark side.
Right.
What if I told you that that archetype might actually exist in the real world?
Oh my gosh.
Get ready to unpack the chilling story of Yuka Takaoka,
Okay.
a young woman from Tokyo
Oh,
who
wow.
blurred the line between fantasy and reality in the most terrifying way imaginable.
I mean, what makes this case so fascinating is how it taps into our collective fear
Oh, yeah.
of the unknown and
Right.
those hidden depths that
Yeah.
lurk beneath the surface.
Oh, yeah.
We often think of these yandere characters as purely fictional or a product of our imaginations.
Yeah.
But Yuka's story
Yeah.
forces us to confront the uncomfortable possibility that these extreme personalities might be closer to home than we'd like to believe.
Right. It's like those stories where the quiet girl next door turns out to be the mastermind behind some crazy scheme. So before we get into the blood and guts,
Okay.
let's set the scene.
All right.
Imagine Tokyo's red light district,
Mm-hmm.
Kabukicho.
Okay.
We're not talking about your typical tourist spots here.
Gotcha.
This is where the lines between fantasy and reality get really hazy,
Uh-huh.
especially in the world of host and hostess clubs.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So tell me about those.
Well,
What are those like?
These clubs are a unique part of Japanese nightlife,
Okay.
a sort of performance-based intimacy where patrons pay for companionship, conversation, and flirtation.
Okay.
The hosts and hostesses essentially play out romantic fantasies for their clients.
Oh, wow.
It's a world built on curated charm and manufactured connections,
Interesting.
which can make it difficult to distinguish genuine feelings from carefully crafted personas.
So you're telling me these clubs are basically real-life dating sims?
Exactly.
That's
That sounds pretty intense.
Yeah.
And this is where our protagonist, Yuka,
Mm-hmm.
and her boyfriend, Phoenix Luna,
Okay.
both worked.
Both worked in this environment.
Exactly. Both Yuka and Phoenix were immersed in this environment where the boundaries between real and staged affection were constantly blurred.
Mm-hmm.
And from what we know from social media and various reports,
Okay.
Yuka was already fascinated by
Oh, no.
yonder characters.
Really?
She even cosplayed as them, showing a clear preference for those with darker, more obsessive traits.
Oh, my God. Wait, so she was into the whole crazy
Yeah.
in love thing
Yeah.
even before this whole incident?
That's a little bit of a red flag, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a little bit. It certainly adds another layer of complexity to the case.
Yeah.
Here we have a young woman who's already drawn to this archetype of possessive love, working in an environment that thrives on manufactured romance.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a recipe for disaster waiting to happen.
Okay, so we've got a fascination with yonder characters,
Mhm.
a setting that blurs the lines between real and fake romance, and then things take a turn for the worse.
Okay.
Right.
What happened?
What happened that pushed Yuka over the edge?
Yeah.
It all started with the seemingly innocent photo.
Oh, really?
On May 22nd, 2019,
Okay.
Yuka stumbled upon a picture of Phoenix with another woman.
Oh,
Now remember, he worked as a host,
right.
so interacting with women was literally his job.
Right.
But for Yuka,
Yeah.
this photo triggered an intense wave of jealousy,
Oh, wow.
a possessive rage that would have devastating consequences.
It's so interesting how, like, that can happen, right? Like,
Yeah.
something so simple as a photo
Yeah, can totally
can change the course of events.
spiral
Yeah.
out of control. Okay, so Phoenix comes home from work, probably expecting a normal night. But Yuka is fixated on this photo. What happened next?
I need to know.
Phoenix tried to explain,
Okay.
to downplay the situation.
Mm-hmm.
But Yuka was consumed by that single image
Oh, gosh.
while he lay in bed, seemingly unaware of the danger he was in.
Oh, my.
Yuka went to the kitchen,
Oh, no.
grabbed a knife,
Oh, God.
and returned to the bedroom.
She didn't.
Oh, she did.
Oh, my God.
Yuka stabbed Phoenix multiple times in the abdomen.
Oh, wow.
her rage fueled by that burning jealousy.
It's like she just snapped, like
Yeah.
something in her psyche just broke.
Yeah.
And was this a clean getaway?
No, this is the part where things get really messy.
Okay, tell me what happened.
You're right. Phoenix, despite his severe injuries, managed to escape the apartment and collapsed in the building lobby.
Oh my gosh.
And this is where the story takes an even more disturbing turn.
Okay.
When the police arrived, they were greeted with a scene straight out of a horror movie.
Paint me a picture. What did the authorities find?
Imagine this Phoenix is lying in the lobby, blood pooling around him, barely conscious. And there, sitting calmly beside him, is Yuka.
Oh my gosh.
She's covered in blood, smoking a cigarette and appearing completely unfazed by the chaos surrounding her.
Wow, it's like a scene from a psychological thriller, that eerie calm
Totally.
amidst the bloodshed.
And this is the image that went viral.
Oh my god. Yeah, I've seen that picture before.
It spread like wildfire across the internet.
Yeah.
A morbidly captivating snapshot of a real-life Yandere caught in the act.
Wow. Okay, so we've got the crime,
Yeah.
the chilling aftermath, but what about the motivation?
Right.
What drove her to this?
And what happened after that viral photo cemented her place in internet infamy. We'll have to delve deeper into those questions when we return for part 2 of our deep dive.
Welcome back to our Halloween special Quickcasters. We left off with that chilling image of Yuka, the picture of serenity amidst chaos, a real-life Yandere caught in the act.
Right.
But the story doesn't end there. Now we have to ask, what drove her to this extreme?
Right. Because seeing your significant other with someone else, even in a professional context like Phoenix's, is a normal human experience.
Right.
It doesn't usually lead to attempted murder.
Yeah.
What was different about Yuka?
Right.
What went on in her mind
Yeah.
that led to such a violent act?
When questioned by police, Yuka's explanation offered a glimpse into her twisted perception of love.
Okay.
She claimed that she loved Phoenix so much
Oh, wow.
that she couldn't bear the thought of him being with anyone else. She even stated her intention to kill herself after stabbing him,
Yeah, geez.
believing that this would unite them forever in the afterlife.
That's seriously messed up.
Right.
It's like she took that Yandere archetype and warped it into a justification for violence.
Right.
It's a chilling reminder of how fictional tropes,
Yeah.
especially those that romanticize obsession and possession,
Yeah.
can have dangerous real-world consequences.
Absolutely. And it speaks to the broader issue of
Yeah.
how we consume and internalize media, especially those narratives that blur the lines between love and obsession. Yuka's case forces us to confront the uncomfortable reality
Yeah.
that these seemingly fantastical characters can influence behavior
Right.
and even inspire real-life violence.
Okay, so we have a crime driven by a twisted sense of love, fueled by a fascination with this dark Yandere persona. But what about the legal consequences?
Right.
Attempted murder isn't exactly a slap on the wrist.
No, you would think that
Well,
it wouldn't be.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this is where the story takes an even more controversial turn.
Okay.
Despite the severity of the crime,
Yeah.
the brutality of the attack,
Mm-hmm.
Yuka received a surprisingly light sentence.
Okay.
A mere 3.5 years in prison.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
3.5 years for stabbing someone multiple times.
I know.
That hardly seems like justice was served.
Right.
Did the judge factor in her Yandere obsession? Was that seen as a mitigating factor?
The specific reasoning behind the sentencing remains unclear.
Okay.
However, the leniency sparked outrage and debate, with many arguing that it trivialized the crime
Right.
and sent a dangerous message about the consequences of obsession-fueled violence.
Yeah.
It raises some unsettling questions about how our justice system deals with crimes influenced by these darker, often romanticized archetypes.
And what about Phoenix?
Yeah.
I mean, physically surviving such a brutal attack is one thing, but the emotional and psychological scars? How did he react to the whole ordeal?
Right.
To the sentence? To Yuka's twisted declaration of love?
That's another layer of complexity in this already bizarre story.
Yeah.
Despite the trauma he endured,
Yeah.
Phoenix publicly forgave Yuka.
Wow.
He even chose not to press further charges.
Wow. Talk about taking the high road.
Yeah.
Forgiving someone who nearly took your life.
Yeah.
That's a level of compassion I can hardly grasp.
Yeah.
But this is where the story takes its most unbelievable turn, right?
Yeah.
Yuka serves her time, gets released, and then what?
This is where the real-life Yandere narrative goes completely off script. Instead of facing public condemnation and ostracism upon release, Yuka was embraced by a fan base.
Hold on, you're saying this woman who nearly killed her boyfriend, who embodied this creepy Yandere trope, got out of prison to fan adoration.
Yes.
Seriously.
As unbelievable as it sounds,
I can't even...
it's true.
Wow.
Upon her release, Yuka returned to social media,
Okay.
Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, the whole 9 yards.
Okay.
And instead of being shunned, she was welcomed back by a wave of supporters,
Wow.
some of whom had been following her case from the beginning.
So what, they saw her as some kind of tragic anti-heroine?
Yeah, it seems like...
A misunderstood soul who just loved a little too intensely?
Right.
This is where that whole blurring of fiction and reality gets really disturbing.
Right.
I mean, it's one thing to enjoy a fictional character who embodies these dark traits,
Right.
but to idolize a real person who acted on them,
Exactly.
that's a whole other level of messed up.
And it raises a whole host of uncomfortable questions about fandom,
Right.
about our cultural obsession with darkness and transgression.
Yeah.
Are we as a society too quick to forgive? Yeah.
Even celebrate those who act out these dangerous fantasies.
It's like something ripped from a Black Mirror episode, a real-life cautionary tale about the dangers of romanticizing darkness.
Right.
And I'm guessing this isn't just a one-off phenomenon.
No.
I mean, we've seen similar trends with other figures, right?
Yeah.
Think about those bad boy anti-heroes,
Yeah.
the charismatic villains we can't help but root for, even as they do terrible things.
Right.
Is this fascination with darkness just part of human nature?
It's a question that philosophers and psychologists have been grappling with for centuries.
Yeah.
What is it about the dark side,
Yeah.
the forbidden, that holds such a lure?
Right.
And how do these fascinations shape our perceptions of right and wrong,
Yeah.
acceptable behavior?
Mm-hmm.
These are the themes we'll be exploring in the final part of our deep dive. Stay tuned as we attempt to unravel the implications of Yuka Takaoka's story and what it reveals about our own fascination with the macabre. Welcome back to Quickcasters, my fellow horror enthusiasts. We've been knee-deep in the unsettling saga of Yuka Takaoka, a case that's stranger than fiction.
It really is.
It's got all the elements of a chilling Halloween tale.
Yeah.
Obsessive love, a brutal crime, and a bizarre twist ending where our real-life Yandere walks free into the waiting arms fans.
Yeah.
It's a case that forces us to confront the uncomfortable reality that the lines between fantasy and reality can be terrifyingly thin. We've talked about Yuka's fascination with Yandere characters, her crime, the lenient sentence, and the shocking fan adoration she received upon release.
Right.
But now we need to ask ourselves,
What does it all mean?
what does it all mean?
Right, because it's easy to get caught up in the sensationalism of it all.
Right.
The shock value of a real-life Yandere story.
Yeah,
But there's a deeper, more unsettling truth lurking beneath the surface.
right.
It's like that feeling you get when you watch a horror movie and you realize the monster isn't some supernatural creature, it's
Right.
something human.
Something all too familiar.
Exactly. Yuka's story isn't just some isolated incident.
Right.
It reflects a broader cultural phenomenon,
Yeah.
a fascination with the dark side,
Yeah.
with characters who embody those impulses we're often told to repress.
Right.
Think about the popularity of anti-heroes, those characters who operate outside the lines of conventional morality.
Yeah.
We're drawn to their complexity, their
Right.
willingness to break the rules,
Yeah.
even as we recognize the danger of their actions.
So are you saying there's a bit of Yandere in all of us? That we're all secretly drawn to these darker impulses,
Yeah.
these figures who represent the forbidden?
Right.
I mean, I'm all for a good horror movie, but that's a pretty unsettling thought.
It's not so much about having a Yandere lurking within, but rather recognizing that our psyches are complex, containing multitudes.
Right.
We're capable of great love and empathy, but also of possessiveness, jealousy, and even rage. The key is recognizing these darker impulses, understanding their power, and ensuring they don't control our actions.
Okay, so we've got this fascination with the dark side, these characters who embody our shadow selves.
Yeah.
But where does that fascination cross the line into real-world danger?
Right.
Because it's one thing to enjoy a fictional character who's a bit morally gray,
Right.
but it's quite another to idolize a real person who commits a violent act.
That's where critical thinking and media literacy come into play.
Right.
We need to be aware of the messages we're internalizing,
Mm-hmm.
to question the narratives that romanticize darkness and violence.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that fictional tropes, while entertaining,
Yeah.
don't always translate well into real-life scenarios.
And social media definitely complicates things, doesn't it?
It really does.
It creates these echo chambers where these darker fascinations can fester,
Right.
where people can find validation for their warped perceptions of reality.
Yeah.
It's like Yuka's case shows. online fandom can blur the lines between fiction and reality in some pretty disturbing ways.
Absolutely. Social media has a way of amplifying these trends, creating communities that reinforce rather than challenge these problematic viewpoints.
Right.
It's a reminder that we as consumers of media and participants in online culture need to be vigilant,
Yeah.
to engage critically with the content we consume, and to be wary of those who seek to exploit our fascination with the dark side.
So what's the takeaway for our quick casters out there?
Yeah.
Should we just avoid all media that depicts dark characters?
No, not at all.
Swear off horror movies and edgy antiheroes forever?
I don't think so.
Because that sounds a little extreme.
It's not about shunning darkness altogether.
Look
It's
at that.
about recognizing the power of these narratives,
Yeah.
the way they can shape our perceptions and even influence our actions.
Right.
It's about being mindful consumers of media, discerning fact from fiction, and ultimately being responsible for our own thoughts and behaviors.
So basically, enjoy your horror movies, your dark fantasy novels,
Yeah.
your morally gray anti-heroes. But remember,
Yeah.
real life has consequences.
Right.
Don't let those fictional fascinations bleed into your real-world interactions.
Well said. We can appreciate the artistry and complexity of these characters without condoning or romanticizing the harmful actions they might represent.
Well, Quickcasters, I think we've officially plunged into the depths of this chilling case.
Yeah.
We've unpacked the disturbing details, explored the cultural context, and grappled with the unsettling implications of real-life yonder behavior. But as we head into this Halloween season, I'm left with one final thought-provoking question.
Ooh, I like it.
Can we appreciate the dark side, the thrills and chills of horror and the complexities of morally ambiguous characters,
Right.
without losing sight of the real-world consequences?
Yeah.
Or is there an inherent danger in blurring the lines between fantasy and reality,
All right.
in letting those darker fascinations seep into our everyday lives? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more deep dives into the strange and fascinating corners of our world. And as always, Quickcasters, stay curious, stay informed, and stay spooky. Happy Halloween.